So moving on to our next startup, we have Hemaptics. And with that, we have Ethan Cohen. Ethan is the CEO of Hemaptics, and they are making waves in the field of blood product management. Ethan, let's hear it.
My name is Ethan Cohen, and I am the CEO of Hemaptics. At Hemaptics, we utilize our software solution, Hemologics, to effectively change transfusion utilization, saving money and saving lives. We all count on the availability of blood to help patients in need. However, we fail to realize that transfusions are expensive, overused, and increase patient risk. Transfusions cost U.S. hospitals $10 billion per year, and these expenses are not fully reimbursed. Meanwhile, studies estimate that 40% of transfusions are not necessary. In addition to their significant costs, unnecessary transfusions create risks for patients. Adverse reactions include allergic responses, organ injury, and fluid overload. At Hemaptics, our vision is that 100% of all transfusions will be based on patient needs, not historical practices or standard order sets. To achieve this vision, we partner with University Hospitals of Cleveland and work with caregivers from over 30 different subspecialties to review current evidence and codify their expertise in our software solution, Hemologics. Hemologics assesses the appropriateness of transfusions for every patient by evaluating over 80 independent patient variables. The result is that we increase awareness of evidence-based practice, leading to better care, reduced risks, and lower costs. After university hospitals implemented Hemologics, transfusions dropped over 30%, saving UH over $8 million in direct costs. The first generation of Hemologics provided caregivers with personalized reports, identifying the percent of transfusions that were appropriate, according to Hemologics' transfusion appropriateness algorithm. As COVID-19 strained the blood supply, UH accelerated the rollout of the second generation of Hemologics. Hospital leaders and providers now receive access to dynamic dashboards. Providers can drill down to the patient level to assess transfusion events, while leaders can monitor conservation tactics. This slide expands one quadrant of the dashboard so that it is easier to read. We can see that 45% of red blood cell transfusions had hemoglobin levels of less than or equal to 7, yet 81% were appropriate at the time of transfusion. This shows the sophistication of Hemologics, as it was able to discern that some of the patients had clinical indications for transfusion, even though they had hemoglobin level above 7. I would now like to take a step back and talk about the evolution of blood management solutions. Prior to the development of Hemologics, existing solutions offered reporting by diagnosis code or lab value. To change behavior, we recognized that hospitals needed a patient-centric tool that considered the many clinical indications for transfusion. The first generation of Hemologics accomplished this through reports, which increased awareness of evidence-based practices. The second generation of Hemologics, which provides drill-down dashboards, made this data dynamic and easy to access. Soon we will release Hemologics 2.5 with advanced analytics, automating additional reports for change management. We have also begun the design phase of a real-time clinical decision support tool, Gen 3, which will provide advice at the time that a transfusion is ordered. Eventually, we plan to release fourth generation of Hemologics to incorporate artificial intelligence to further enhance the algorithm's capabilities by learning from its extensive data set. We have a seasoned management team at Hemaptics. As CEO, I bring over 20 years of executive experience. Additionally, other team members include 2 clinical inventors and the IT inventor of Hemologics. Looking to the future, we are in negotiations with our first partnership outside of UH and plan to release Gen 2.5 of Hemologics with advanced analytics by the end of 2020. During 2021, we plan to launch a $2 million seed round and release Gen 3.0 with real-time clinical decision support capabilities. Thank you very much. I welcome your questions.
Hi, Ethan. Thanks for joining us today.
It's nice being here.
Thanks. So to kick us off for the Q&A, where are you with your fundraising efforts?
Well, we are not currently raising money. However, we plan on launching our first Series A round in the first half of 2021. So if there are any investors on the phone, would happily engage in a conversation with them, as we will be raising money in the near future.
Great, thank you. And then are you currently still looking for pilot sites?
Yes, we are. We have one pilot site that's just about finalized, but we'd really like to have at least 2 sites outside of UH for our initial pilots. So again, if there's anybody listening to this who's interested in being a pilot site, we would very much like to talk with you.
Great, thank you. And then just one more question on my end. Um, what is one piece of advice that you have through your experience on how to successfully run a pilot with a hospital, such as UH?
Sure. When running the pilot with that UH, what's really critical is being transparent. We've worked very closely with the clinicians through this whole process, and we've been very transparent in terms of sharing data with them. What makes Hemaptics so effective isn't because we're telling the physicians what to do, it's because we're showing them data that helps understand what the evidence says. And that sort of partnership and transparency is what makes it work.
Got it. Thank you. And then one final question. What do you think it takes for a hospital to be a pilot site?
For a hospital to be a pilot site, it need to be a facility that uses a fair amount of blood. So hopefully it has a variety of procedures, whether it's orthopedics or cancer treatments or emergency room. We like a variety in there. And then it's important to have some sort of clinical champion, someone who's willing to work with us to move this initiative forward as part of the process.
Great. Well, thank you so much, Ethan. I really appreciated all those responses and really appreciate your time this afternoon now.
Thank you.